Good afternoon, everybody. We are Team Captcha. We have Adam, Anthony, Jay, Hendrik, and me, Ben. Our project for the last 2 weeks was to build a product which would to monetize some unused ad space on websites that exist that everyone uses at the moment. So it's just there, not being used. We've built a more engaging, more entertaining, and a harder to break Captcha.
So for anyone that isn't aware of what a Captcha is, I'm sure you've all seen it. It's it's a machine that stops robots logging into websites instead of real people. And what we decided to do was to try and make that more fun and also make it brand specific to the website that you're trying to log into. And as Ben was saying, use advertising space that is there and cannot be blocked by an ad blocker as well. So it forces you to engage with an advert. So we have, this is more what we're trying to do. So this is branded captchas as a rough idea. And moving on to the next slide.
Hi, so this is the story of the evolution exactly of our project from its minimum viable product. Here you can see we just had a simple string, which was a scrambled word, which we served to the user, and we checked that they were able to return the word that matched that word that was scrambled that we sent to them. Because of course, computers are unable to read them, but humans are. So it's a great way to differentiate a human user from a bot or a computer user. If they return the correct string, they were authenticated and sent to the correct page. Otherwise, they were deemed to be a robot and diverted elsewhere. MVP stage 2, we had random images. Again, scrambled words, which were served randomly to the user. We complexified our code base a little bit. And if they returned, again, the correct word, correct string, matching what we asked them, then they were authenticated. So we introduced randomization to our model and checked that we were still able to authenticate correctly. MVP 3 was where it got really, really interesting, and we wanted to introduce intuition because we thought that was the best way to really get people to prove that they were human. We have this game here, click in specific area, where you can see it running sort of successfully. We asked them to click on the 8, and if they clicked on the correct area of an image, then they were deemed they were accepted, and they were allowed to progress. So we had this idea of games. We encapsulated the idea of a captcha into a game just for sort of visualization purposes. And of course, games have questions and correct answers and wrong answers, and it was just a great way to continue with our project. Number 2 is drag and drop, where we asked the user to select an image and to drop it in the correct place. And programmatically, we were able to read those mouse events and deem whether or not you'd answered the given question correctly. And then in game 3, image association, you were asked to click on an image that matched most closely the given image above. And if you're able to do that, you were authenticated. So this is how we really envisage the deployment, the final stage of our product. As you can see, great brand awareness, great engagement. Any user is compelled to engage psychologically with the brand that they're reviewing online. And of course, it stays in your memory and in your hearts. And we thought that that's monetizable and it's useful, and it's something that companies would appreciate. Thank you. It's my mom.
So our challenges, we soon discovered that testing puzzles that were designed to be impossible for a computer to solve could be difficult. So we worked around this by using very small unit tests and checking that all the moving parts were testing separately. And we eliminated the random elements by building testing databases, which would always provide the same puzzles. And we stubbed out random functions where we needed to. We obviously had to ensure that security was important, because if someone could get around our games, then it would render them all useless. And we'll get on to how we solved that on the next slide. Our biggest successes were that we managed the growth of our project well by concentrating on small MVP versions one at a time and iterating over them with additional features each time. And we also managed to progress this project further than we ever expected we would, thanks to being adventurous with how far we could take the idea. So how did we do it? How did we keep our secrets safe? So the key was to keep the solutions to the games hidden from view. And the true answer to the puzzle never leaves the server and never is seen by the client side. The only information that's sent by the server is an ID for the game and the image URLs that are showed. And the authentication only happens when the server checks the user's answer against the solution. And that's about it, isn't it, guys? It's not quite it.
Once we figured out that we could actually complete this challenge and master the conceptual and technical idea of authenticating a user rather than a computer, we decided that we'd take it a step further. We wanted to have not just a computer program, but a product that could be used and sort of implemented on a website. So it's my honor to, on behalf of Team Captcha, present to everyone in the room the Captcha API. What that means in so many words is that you're going to take about 3 lines of code like this, add them to your website, and the game or the Captcha that we created can be implemented on your very own web page, turning it into a money-making machine for all intents and purposes. The idea is that users will authenticate themselves in a normal sign-up form, and once you enter user data, you get prompted with a branded prompt. That was Lufthansa. Here's an Adidas example. Companies could present, products and various other services. Yeah, and we're hoping it'll go far. Who knows? One day, maybe just Kay said, you'll see that yourself. Thank you.